Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with State on Sports. I'm your host, Jaden Chandler Parnell, and man, got a good one for you. It's going to be a really good week, I think. We got the Celtics up 2-0, Florida Panthers up 2-0. My boy, the Redbeard, coming on tomorrow. Can confirm. Won't even lie, I was like a good 10 minutes into my intro when my boy Roan was hitting me up. Yeah, sorry, he just confirmed it. Yep, so for sure, my boy Roan's going to come on tomorrow. We're going to talk hella about the WNBA. I got a fun game to talk about, or a fun game to do. A little fun draft game we're going to do. Got some futures to talk about. Got some other betting stuff to talk about. It's going to be a really fun episode. Got a lot of fun stuff for you. I'm going to record it tomorrow. It's going to come out Thursday morning, so I would look out sometime in the morning. I'll probably end up posting it pretty early just because I think I'm going to happen to be up. So look out for that on Friday morning. And then past that, today's going to be very simple. We're going to talk a little bit of what's going on in the Celtics series. A little bit of what's going on in the Panthers series. The Panthers series and the NHL, Celtics series and the NBA. And then we'll talk and finish with a little bit of NFL news. Pretty simple, right? So without further ado, we're going to head right in. Very similar story going on in both of the finals right now. Panthers are up 2-0 after covering their spread and hitting the under in the game. Celtics up 2-0 after covering both games and hitting the under as well. That's where the teams separate a little bit going into what happened with the Celtics the last two games. I think it's just pretty much been a lot of all Luka. Not a lot of help from the other players. I'll admit, last game, it was a little bit closer towards the end, but for most part, I mean, Luka had 32, 11, and 11. Jason Tatum, 18, 9, and 12. Really, really good game from our boy Drew Holiday, 26, 11, and 3. 11 of 14 shooting. Drew Holiday absolutely went insane. Kristaps Porzingis is hurt. I believe I just saw it was a serious injury, so I want to touch on that as well. Oh, he's only day-to-day, though, with a serious injury. So, I guess that's the good news. I mean, at this point, though, everyone in the finals is pretty much banged up, so it's not too shocking, but kind of scary with Porzingis because they are... Well, I mean, when they have Porzingis, I don't think... shit. You saw it the last two games. I mean, with Porzingis, they've looked really, really impressive. It makes them that just more dynamic and that much more better when Kristaps Porzingis is on the floor, so... We'll see if he ends up playing. I obviously have zero clue because I have no insight, but I hope he still does. I hope, at least for the Celtics case, I hope he still plays because with him, they're just a completely different monster. But yeah, like the last two games, first game was pretty much a blowout of the water for the Celtics. Celtics won. They won 107-89, complete blowout in game one. Jaylen Brown had 22 points, but I won't lie to you. I don't know who's going to win Finals MVP at this point. Game one, I would say it's probably... For the Celtics side, it's probably Jaylen Brown at 22, Kristaps Porzingis at 20 and 6, Drew Holiday had 12, 8 and 5. So you could argue that might be between Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, or Jason Tatum in that game. We'll give it to Jaylen Brown just for sake of argument because of the points. The next game, we give it to Drew Holiday from the amazing defense he played, and then the fact that he went 11 for 14 from the field, and their 105-98 victory. I just tell you what, man. I don't know who's going to win Finals MVP. I don't think the Celtics are going to lose 4 of the next 5, so I genuinely think the fact that they should have lost game 2. They couldn't make any threes at all in that game, pretty much. We're talking 10 from 39 from 3, while the Mavs were 6 from 26. So the fact that the Mavs just weren't able to take advantage of the poor shooting night from Boston, because this was one of the games where Boston is going to have a poor shooting night from 3, and Luka's just going to go nuclear. So we had the poor shooting night from 3 for Boston, which I thought the Mavs might win, and it turns out that the Celtics ended up holding on. So the fact the Celtics held on here, this was the biggest game I was worried about for them. I think they're probably going to end up winning the series now. I assume how it's going to go. They're going to go up 3-1, coming back to Boston, maybe lose in Boston, then win on the road in Dallas potentially. I would not be shocked if they closed out in Boston though and just won 3-1. There's a chance it could end up 2-2 going back to Boston. I truly don't know. I still kind of have a feeling it'll be the Celtics in 6, but at this point now it's leaning more towards Celtics in 5, I think. We have to see. Obviously, there's one more game played tomorrow that, or played Wednesday, I guess, depending on what time you're watching this. I guess there's some potential that the Mavs might be able to fight back a little bit from what I've seen so far, though. I don't know, boy. It's looking like the Celtics might have this thing in hand. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on the past two games that we've seen. Moving on to Game 3, just previewing that and talking about that for a little bit. I'm kind of shocked that the Mavs are favored. It makes sense, though, I think, realistically, especially now that Kristaps Porzingis is day-to-day. That makes a lot more sense. It was originally at one point with the Kristaps Porzingis injury, and now it's up to 2.5 for the Mavs. I won't lie, I'm tempted to bet Celtics. Probably not going to bet it, though. I just have the two futures I talked about where I had Jason Tatum to get 5 assists every game, and then Celtics 4-2, Jason Tatum Finals MVP. Those are my only two bets I got for the series, pretty much. I don't think I'm going to bet game to game anymore. Just pretty much, we're kind of waiting on football, for being real, when it comes to the betting part of it. But I at least just kind of want to look at what the lines are saying, what is popping off. Under 212, that is tempting. I think that's hit every game so far. I'll admit, under 212 is very tempting. I think the only way that the Mavs can win a game, too, is keeping it under the hundreds. Obviously, I think they can win a game that goes into the hundreds, but the more points they get towards in the hundreds, it gets a little bit more scary for them, especially if Kyrie's going to be playing as bad as he is. Kyrie for sure needs to step it up if they're going to win Game 3. But yeah, so you got Game 3 that's going to be happening tomorrow, and then you got Game 4 that happens Friday. And then you'll have Game 5, if necessary, on Monday, which I'm assuming we'll have, and then Game 6 will be June 20th. So next Thursday. So pretty much a week from Thursday, we're probably going to be talking about the end of the NBA Finals. That's absolutely crazy to talk about. That literally in a week from today. NBA season, that's over. NHL will probably be very similar. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then it's heavy football, man. That's crazy. I have to actually start looking at... I set a little timer. I think it was like way last year. It wasn't even really a timer. It was just something I wrote in my notes like, hey, on this day, just remind yourself that like, about this time last year is when you wanted to start looking at college football. And hey, about this time last year is when you're like, hey, there's about a month and a half till the season starts, so you might want to start getting locked in. That notification came up today. It's like, oh, holy shit, that is close, huh? Crazy that college football's right around the corner. But yeah, like I said, my prediction is I think the Celtics win in 5 or 6 still. No way it goes 7 at this point. I won't be shocked. I just don't think the Mavs will get swept. I'd be pretty shocked if they got swept, honestly. But at the same time, the Celtics are a really talented team. But even then, I just think the Mavs will have to get at least one game off them. But yeah, so my prediction for that series, I still don't know who the Finals MVP will be. Kind of leaning towards Tatum, I guess, still. Just because it might become a legacy award thing. So I'm leaning towards Tatum. And then, yeah, probably think Celtics are going to win it all, especially because they're like 10-1 favorites now. That said, that's the NBA. Moving on to NHL. NHL, like I said, we just talked about. The NHL is up 2-0. Panthers, my bad. I was trying to think of the team name, even though, they're literally staring at me in the face. But Panthers are up 2-0. Their next game is on Thursday. So they have Game 3 Thursday, Game 4 Saturday, Game 5 Tuesday, and then Friday will be Game 6. So they'll be done by next Monday if they go 7 games. But Panthers have been dominant. The Sergei Bobrovsky standing on his goddamn head. No goals allowed. He had 32 saves on 32 shot attempts last game. In Game 1. In Game 2, he had 19 shot attempts. He had 19 saves on 19 shot attempts. Only gave up 1 goal. Like I said, the lad is standing on his head right now. The Panthers are... The best way that it was put to me, because as most of you know who follow me, I'm not the biggest hockey person. I'm just now slowly starting to get to that point where it's like, yeah, I'm starting to watch a little bit more. Finally starting to get into it. And by watch a little bit more, I mean I watched a quarter. I at least watched... what was it? I don't think I actually watched this game on Monday. I think I watched Game 1 a little bit, but... Yeah, I was under the assumption, pretty much from what I've understood, is the Panthers are the better team, but the Oilers might have the better player. Excuse me. I know the Panthers have Matthew Tkachuk and everything, but Connor McDavid, McJesus, as some would call him, I know he's arguably probably the best player of the series. So it's basically best team versus best player, and in this situation so far, the best team at home is up 2-0. It's going to be very interesting traveling to Edmonton. I think they said this was the farthest. I don't know if it's travel distance in all of United States sports or if it's just hockey, but there's like a 2,000-mile difference between these two cities. Insane. Like, I think it's like basically taking the same flight as Florida to London. Because basically you're going from the tip of Florida at the bottom, all the way to Edmonton, which is basically like top left of Canada, kind of. I don't think it's all the way top left. I don't know my Canadian geography that well. But I know it's up there somewhere. A lot of travel. So it's going to be... I'm curious to see if the staying in their own bed will help out the Oilers a little bit, because they just came out slow. Last game they missed a lot of shots, game one they missed a lot of shots, had a lot of chances to score early, weren't able to score, and then the Panthers just basically strangled them to death. And then about third period in game one is when the Panthers really started clicking, scored a lot more, and then that kind of bled over into this game where Oilers did go up 1-0 early, and I think I might have even been on like the first shot attempt of the game for the Oilers to end up scoring on, but then after that, like I said, Bobrovsky stood on his head and was able to play really good defense, and the Panthers scored 4 goals to the Edmonton 0. Under hit that game as well. Very, very awesome. But yeah, so that means Panthers are up 2-0 now in the series. I think the Panthers are going to end up winning it all at this point. I don't think that's me going on a limb too much. Another situation, I don't see them losing 4 or 5. I'm going to look to probably bet them every game because I think at worst they win this in 6, and I'll go 4-2 betting on them, but I would not be shocked if they get it done in 5. Panthers, I think, kind of got heartbroken a little bit last year. Feels like this is their year of destiny. Very similar to what's going on with the Celtics. I know it wasn't last year, per se, but the year before, where Celtics make it to the finals, get their heart broken by the Warriors, and then they got beat by the Heat last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. Basically, I think they went down 3-0 instantly and then almost came back from down 3-0, but got their heart broken, came back to... let me rephrase that. So yeah, like I said, Celtics, Panthers, kind of similar. Celtics basically made the finals 2 years ago, I guess. Missed them last year after some heartbreak, and then now bounced back and they're poised to win it. Panthers, they basically skipped a year. They went to the finals last year, lost it, and now they get the chance to make it great, man. So really looking forward to see what the Panthers do. Next game, like I said, June 13th. Very, very excited. I'm probably looking to take the Panthers this game. I don't think they'll go up 3-0, but if Bobrovsky's going to keep standing on his head, I'm going to ride the hot hand, especially because if your goalie's hot, you have a really, really good chance of winning the game. And yeah, like I said, the fact that the Oilers have not scored very much in these first 2 games, kind of troublesome, I think, for them, because the Panthers have gotten better. As each game's gone on, the Panthers have gotten better in the second half or the third period. Again, second period, third period, Panthers get better again. So I'm going to look for possibly the same thing to happen. I'm just curious to see if the rest is going to be an issue, if travel is going to be an issue, whatnot for the Panthers. But yeah, we're going to probably look at Panthers being Stanley Cup champions, and we're going to look at the Celtics being NBA Finals champions. Okay, so I think we're ready for some NFL news. By the way, shout out my boy Rowan, man. Had an awesome interview from one of his classes. He just told me about it. Woo! That's pretty dope, boy. I ain't going to lie. That's a story for him to share, not for me to share, but man. Shout out to the boy Ron, man. Living life. But, like I said, we're going to talk some NFL news to kind of end it. Like I said, we're going to go too crazy today. Aaron Rodgers and Hassan Reddick are not attending mandatory minicamp for the Jets. Salah said that both absences are unexcused and subject to fines, but I don't think they're going to either. I think both of those players are fine, especially Hassan Reddick, a pass rusher. You can train on your own. You're going to be okay. And Aaron Rodgers, after everything you heard him say last year about him, I think he's okay. I don't think he's in any jeopardy of getting in trouble, especially when he has more tenure than his head coach. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be okay. Shout out to Christian McCaffrey. He ends up becoming the cover athlete of Madden. I won't lie. Pretty cool cover. At least for the deluxe edition, I do like the photo. I guess, kind of. I don't know. I'm starting to take it back a little bit. The background looks like they put fake NFL players in there. If they didn't and those real NFL players, I love the photo, but sorry. I'm pretty sure those are real guys, but it kind of, I won't lie, the deluxe edition, it kind of looks like they had AI put NFL players in the background that aren't, but it looks like real players regardless, though. Shout out to Christian McCaffrey. Huge honor. I know Madden might not be the same as it once was, especially with gaming. We don't even got to get into this with gaming and how gaming is nowadays and the state that it's in, but regardless, I mean, there's some true honor to being a cover athlete, and you should take real pride in that, especially because he's the first non-quarterback to be it in years. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes twice, Tom Brady, and then Lamar Jackson have been since Madden 20, it's been Josh Allen, Mahomes twice, Tom Brady, and Lamar Jackson. Now it's Christian McCaffrey, so shout out to him. I think he's the first one since, OBJ was Madden 15, 16 was Gronk. I can't even remember. I'm actually just curious now. I'm trying to remember what the last non-quarterback Madden cover was. Covers of Madden, here we go. I guess 23 was John Madden, so I guess that one might not count. AB, that's who it was. I was thinking it was Gronkowski in 2017, but it was Antonio Brown. That's the one I was thinking of. Yep, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah, that's what I just want to think of. So, like I said, though, shout out to Christian McCaffrey. That's a really, really cool thing. Well deserved, I mean. In a year where you aren't going to put Mahomes on it for the 5th time, I mean, probably a good choice to pick Christian McCaffrey. I had a contract year. Browns, Amari Cooper's mandatory minicamp. I don't blame him. He'll be subject to over $100,000 in fines, but I'm assuming they'll find a way to make that up to him if they do. It's just a weird situation because they extended. Oh yeah, but yeah, like I said, Amari Cooper. They paid. It's just weird because they paid. What's his name? Jerry Jeudy. They just gave Jerry Jeudy a 3-year, $58 million extension, so it kind of feels like. So you're going to extend a guy who wasn't in the building over a guy who was. Feels kind of weird, so it just feels like Amari Cooper is going to have that extension coming. I don't know. He might not. But he's not reporting to minicamp. I actually don't. I won't lie. I genuinely have no. Yeah, I just genuinely have no clue. Yeah, it's just a really weird situation with Amari Cooper. I just don't see a way that. I just feel like he'll end up staying with the Browns at this point, but that's just at least from there. I don't know though. It's starting to get to that point, a little bit, that weird point in the career where it's like he had a really good year with Joe Flacco last year, but does he trust the Browns organization and stuff like that? I don't know. That part of it's kind of fascinating. I have no idea. I just have no idea if Amari Cooper. Obviously, I wouldn't, but just like from all indications of what's been happening, even outside of what he's done, I just have no indication of if he's okay with what's going on in Cleveland or not. So I truly do wonder. I would assume from their side they are going to extend him. It's just a matter of if he signs it or not. Travis Kelce said he wants to play until the wheels fall off. That makes sense. He said he isn't ready to take a step back as he prepares for his 12th year. I love coming to work every single day and doing this, so I'm going to do it until the wheels fall off. I assume he's obviously he's closer to the end than the beginning, but he turns 35. I'm obviously going to look for him to take a step down in fantasy. Each year, I think he's going to take. I don't think he's going to be as massive in the regular season until the end of the season. I think it's almost. I think going to start getting to that point where it's not like load managing, but like weeks 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, like yes, he might have one big game, but it's not going to be anything crazy. He might have a bunch of 4 for 40 or 4 for 40s, 5 for 50 and a touchdown, like 4 for 70 and 2 touchdowns one game. Then he's back to 4 for 50, 5 for 30, and everyone's going to be like, whoa, why is this the Travis Kelce that we know from before? And then as the season ends, his numbers are going to just slowly start going uphill like that. We saw a little bit of it happen last year. I know he had some injuries here and there, but that's what we saw last year, so I think it's going to be happening again. I think it's just going to be more of what we see now, is where he doesn't, earlier and earlier on in the season, he's going to have a little bit less and less of a workload, and then as the season goes on, he's going to be getting more of a workload. Joe Burrow's not rushing rehab of surgically repaired wrist. He said, you always forget how hard it is to come back from injury. That's why every time it happens. He basically said there's always perks. There's always peaks when you're like, I'm feeling great, and then a couple months later you have a couple of days where it's like, man, I'm not feeling that great. In the past, I pushed through it and caused problems for myself, and this year I'm not doing that, which is really smart. So it sounds like he's actually maybe learning a little bit from the past injuries and everything. And he's just like, you know what? There's no reason to rush this. Let's just get this right instead of... Because I think that's one of the hardest things for athletes to learn. It's just like, hey, sometimes, like, especially, I know at different levels and everything, but if you're in a situation like Joe Burrow where it's like you still got like 3 or 4 good years ahead of you, or shit, he probably has at least like 10 to 15 being a quarterback, but you know what I mean? Like, where he has 3, maybe even like 5 to 10 years being an elite quarterback, where it's like, hey, maybe just take off this extra like 2 months now, and it'll make up for it, and I'll have an extra like 3 or 4 years at the end. A lot of athletes aren't able to look at it like that because it's like, man, if I don't get on the field now, maybe they'll just cut me and I won't be back on the team. So then they risk it, get hurt even more, and then it derails like years at the end of their career, which only affects not only their legacy but the money they can earn, a bunch of shit like that. So it's awesome when you actually see athletes coming out and being like, yes, I do need to take it slower. I need to be better like this, because it's a hard thing to learn. It's a hard thing to be willing to do, especially because like you're only limited to what? Most sports, I would say, between 22, and if you're really, really good, you can get to like 38, 39. You basically have a 17-year window max. And that's if you're a top guy. If you're just a basic average Joe, you probably got about 4 to 5 years max, where you take advantage of your career and get as much as you can out of it. So if you're able to see stuff like this, I think it's very smart, and it's hopefully going to be really good for Joe Burrow in the future, and hopefully he gets hurt a lot less, because football's a lot more fun when Joe Burrow's on the field. Apparently, Drake May's progressing tremendously. There's been a lot of good news about what's coming out, what he's done. He's, like I said, there's only rookie. Obviously, it's way too early in the offseason to say anything, but there's a lot of good words that's coming out about Drake May, which is really all you want to hear about. Because usually, if you're hearing bad news about stuff, it's probably obviously not good. But great news when you're hearing that a lot of people are happy with what the quarterback's doing. He's been here for 3.5 weeks, a month, and he's made tremendous strides. Brissett said, not only calling the plays, but footwork, throwing the ball, and his overall understanding of the offense, which is really awesome because I don't know if he's going to start at the beginning of the year, but with how good this news is becoming, it's starting to sound like, hey, he might start at the beginning of the year. I don't think so, but it does sound like that at least he's going to make some progression, and maybe at least maybe even halfway through the year pick it up. Moving on. The Chiefs have B.J. Thompson been released from the hospital after cardiac event, which is really, really good. He had a scary event happen to him at practice where he had CPR performed on him before he was taken to the hospital. Glad to hear everything's all good because, yeah, that stuff's just scary. Because a lot of times you're sitting there, it's like, oh, it's heat exhaustion. And then it's like, oh, shit, no, it's not. Or you're just like, oh, I wonder what's going on. Then when it's something super serious like this, it's just like a quick. Because sometimes you're just in the football mindset. You aren't even thinking anything. Like I can remember, shout out my boy Mike. There was a day where he was just so overheated and exhausted. Because I'll admit, it was a rough, hot day for one of our August camps in football my freshman or sophomore year. And this dude is gas. I'm telling you, because we didn't have that many people that day. We were just getting run into the ground on some of these obstacle courses, and he did a move on the bag, finished the bag, and he basically tackled, fell in the bag, and just laid on the ground. And our coach was like, all right, come on, get up. And he was joking around. Everyone's like, oh, come on, you got to get up. And then it was like a whole second. It's like, oh, shit, something might be wrong. Okay, let's actually go check on him. Like, there's a lot of moments like that where sometimes it's like, oh, come on, get up, you're fine, come on. And it's the quick snap to rally, like, oh, shit, something's wrong. Let's actually look into this. So, yeah, it's really good to hear good news out of Thompson, that he's feeling better because, yeah. That cardiac stuff is scary. I mean, shit, we just heard recently with Darren Waller announced that he retired. And Darren Waller basically came out and said he was having issues breathing. And he was basically put his shoe in the door because he was hoping that somebody would be able to hear him yelling and calling out for help because he couldn't catch his breath. Shit's not to mess around with. That shit's really, really scary. So shout out to B.J. Thompson. And also shout out to Darren Waller. What an amazing career. I think we'll spend... Man, we might have to spend just a solo episode on just all the retirements this offseason. Fletcher Cox... Darren Waller, Jason Kelsey. Got some big names that are retiring. The Dolphins are signing Marcus May. He spent the last 2 seasons with New Orleans. Oh, so he's going to Miami. I might have read that wrong. So he's going to the Dolphins after spending the last 2 years with New Orleans. Probably not a bad move for the Dolphins. Like I said, I've talked shit on their defense, so... I think this is a really good choice. They need that. I think Marcus May is a really good player. I think it's a really good ad for them because, yeah, I think they're going to need more than him, obviously, but going to need some help. Ramondre Stevenson apparently is pretty close to near an extension with the New England. This is awesome because I won't lie to you. I thought they were going to potentially get rid of him. He didn't have the best of years last year, so I thought there was a chance that they might have just going to move on him and be like, oh, he just didn't work in our offense, maybe we need a different guy. I thought there was a chance that could happen, so the fact that that's not happening, they are looking to extend him. Really, really good move. Apparently he's seeking a new agreement. I thought they would say he was looking for a certain amount of money, but I don't think it came out and said. Apparently he's set to make $3.1 million on his base salary, so I'm sure that's going to go up a little bit, but with the running back market, I don't know how much. Mercedes Lewis is re-signing to a 1-year deal with the Bears. Shout out to him. This will make it, I think, year 18 or 19 for the 40-year-old man. Shout out to Mercedes Lewis. Drafted at number 28 overall 2006 by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Woo! 2006, boy. That was a while ago. I think it's about the time that Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out. What else was going on in 2006? I was 7 years old. I was turning 7 years old at one point in that year. Regardless, shout out to Mercedes Lewis, big old vet. He's going to be, I think, a huge piece for the Bears just to have that veteran leadership. Mike Tomlin signs a 3 years extension with the Steelers. Awesome news for the Steelers fans. I know a lot of Steelers fans are indifferent on this, but you can't have... If you're having movement at your quarterback and your OC, you probably don't want movement at the head coach either. That sounds like a trifecta for not a good season. So the fact that they have a new OC, they have 2 new quarterbacks in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, Re-signing Mike Tomlin seemed like makes the most sense. He's had really good years. He's had 17 winning seasons. Out of all of his 17 years, not a single losing season. So I think it's a really good signing by the Steelers. I mean, no need to move on from him just yet. If he has more playoff struggles and he's not able to make if he's not able to make the playoffs, let alone win playoff games, then I'll understand it a little bit more. If he does it for 3 more years, I'll understand it a little bit more. But when you have, it's one of those things. It's the grass greener on the other side. You have a really good coach. I would probably not want to get rid of him. Apparently, Rashee Rice has come out, learned so much from off-field incidents. Hopefully he has, because it sucks. Kid won a Super Bowl. Rashee Rice won a Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes, and nobody's talking about how good he was for them last season. All they're talking about is the dumb stuff he did this offseason. Apparently, Jalen Ramsey said he's back where he thrives after the DC change. I'm curious to see. I thought he was decent last year, so I'm curious to see how much better he will do this year with the new DC. Randy Gregory is apparently suing the NFL and the Broncos for claiming discrimination over being fined $500,000 for medication containing THC during his brief time in Denver. That's interesting. Apparently, the Broncos are named in a lawsuit, although teams don't have any role in finding players. The complaint said Gregory was diagnosed with social anxiety disorder and with post-traumatic stress. Broncos and NFL denied Gregory's request in March 2023 to use something during non-work hours. According to the complaint, 2 months later, his agent, Peter Schaefer, requested a therapeutic to use exemption from Gregory, which was also denied. Okay, so pretty much sounds like you're going to get some money back. That's basically what I understood from that. So pretty much he's claiming that he wanted to do some stuff, and the NFL pretty much said no. And it potentially, I'm sure he'll end up getting some money back. I'm sure the NFL and him will come to agreement, because this seems something, especially when it comes to like mental health. If it is true that he has PTSD and all these mental health issues, it seems like such an easy win for the NFL just to be like, yeah, we should probably fix our rules for that a little bit. But we'll see though, because it is the NFL and they are business. Apparently Xavier Howard, I think I talked about this a little bit. He's been accused of sending a teen explicit photo over abortion issues with the teen's mother. I'm not gonna get into this too much because I don't fully understand it. Also, just like, wow, he's sending stuff about Xavier. I don't even want to get. I'm not even gonna into it. You heard the title. I'll read the title again. Xavier Howard accused of sending teen explicit photo over abortion issue, and he sent a photo. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. Like I said, you heard the title. Hopefully we'll see more. Hopefully we'll learn more and see how serious it actually was. Ravens Justin Tucker is apparently hitting the weight room to prepare for the new kickoff rules. He said, we're in the lab, and more recently my lab has actually been in the weight room. He said, this might have been really surprising to a lot of you guys and a lot of my teammates, because I don't tend to hang out in the weight room too frequently. But with the new kicking rules we talked about a little bit, it sounds like kickers are going to be way more involved. So potentially, yeah, they're going to have to be ready to make some hits and do some tackles. Hurts says 95% of the Eagles' offense is new in 2024. Josh Jacobs comes out. Raiders wanted me to come back on a discount and lose. You do everything that you're asked of, but you still don't get the result that you want. And every year you be close, but it's not winning. That was a big thing for me too, man. You want me to come back on a discount and lose? I don't know how I feel about that. That's what Josh Jacobs had to say about the Raiders when it came to. Makes a lot of sense, honestly. That makes a lot of sense, because they have. Not only have they been losing in his time there, I would say the head coach has not been stable. Even with Josh McDaniels there, wasn't the most stable. So I don't blame him, man. I wouldn't want to be stuck in that as well. And then the last thing I was talking about, we mentioned it. Hurts says that Jalen Hurts said the Eagles' offense is 95% new. I said, you get to a point where you feel I'm going to be more comfortable with this. I like this. That time comes when you can rep it later on. But right now, it's been a lot of new inventory in. The majority of it, probably 95% of it being new. It's just been that process, and it's been a fun process because you get to see what works for other people. Makes sense. So it sounds like they're just going to need some change stuff around the offense. Maybe their offense just got a little too predictable last year. Also, too, new center. So that changes up a lot, I'm sure, with the protection and everything. Because when J.C. Kelsey's in there at center, you got nothing to worry about, I would say. So with the new guy in there, new snaps. I mean, we'll have to see. There's probably just a lot of new stuff the Eagles have to deal with, especially losing Fletcher Cox on defense and losing Jason Kelsey on offense, along with just the mess that they became at the end of the year on offense. But yeah, that's probably going to do it for today. Like I said, today wasn't supposed to be too long. Kind of caught up on a lot of stuff that happened over the weekend. And like I said, look out for Thursday. We're going to be talking about the WNBA with my boy Rowan. Probably going to be the only two shows I do this week. Probably mainly just because it's basically the end of the NBA season, end of the NHL regular season. So look for that episode to come out like Thursday. It's probably going to be the last episode of the week. And then Tuesday we'll come back, hitting the NFL heavy, starting to look into the college season, look into the NFL season, start to find some stuff out because it's about that time for the NFL. Let me look to see how many days are left. We got 86 days until NFL football. Man. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for supporting. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, doing a show with my boy Rowan tomorrow. Look for it in the feed on Thursday morning. And hey, we're going to be talking hella WNBA. Can't wait, man. Cannot wait.